Just don't give up. Just don't worry if you fail initially. Just don't give up because anything is possible. So I'm Judy Keir. I'm Chief People Officer with a company called SMS plc, which is probably one of the best kept secrets. We're known for installing smart meters, but actually it's so much more than that. So it's a big kind of carbon reduction journey. So we are looking at solar, we're into grid scale batteries, we're looking at electric vehicle charging on the public side. So a lot of it is about sustainability and carbon reduction, which is nice to be associated with a company like that. We have at the moment about, and we're growing all the time, 1,400 employees over throughout the UK and in Cork in Ireland, and kind of looking abroad as well. So we're multi-site, head offices in Glasgow, but we have a lot of other big offices further down the country. It's kind of stepped down from Doncaster to Bolton, and further down south as well. So yeah, that's a bit about kind of what we do, which is very relevant just now with cost of living and I suppose with young people when they're thinking about careers, quite often it matters, linking your values with a company's values that you're going to move into. So a company like ours is quite attractive.
Yeah, definitely. The environment and sustainability, is so important, but also providing great services just generally. Tell us about, where you grew up and what you were like when you were a young person, and what did you think you were going to do at that point, or if you had any idea?
I think it's interesting. There's a lot of pressure on young people because people, teachers will ask you and other people, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? And some people have a very definitive career path in mind. I'm going to be so and so, and they'll end up being that, and good for them. I never knew what I wanted to do. I just wasn't sure at all. And you can be aged 8 and say I want to be a dentist, or you're 4 and you want to be an astronaut. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I think that's okay. That's a message. It's okay if you don't know what you want to do just now, because it's a big wide world out there and you're not exposed to a lot of it. So for me, at school, you take the hires that you are interested in. You try and make them as wide as possible, maybe to give you good opportunity. When it came to my 5th year in school and I was doing my hires, my plan was to go to uni or to college, and I'll explain that. But I didn't get all of the grades that I needed on my first sitting, because age 16 I discovered nightclubs and an ulterior life to school. So my head really wasn't in it, and instead of getting those 4 hires at good grades that I needed, I only got 2. So my mum and dad were really supportive. I was lucky I had 2 parents who were together, and I know not everyone has, but they were supportive. And what they said to me is, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. It's just you've just kind of, instead of going straight down a path, you've just moved to the left or the right. What do you want to do now? And I thought, well, what's my options? Because I was like, oh goodness, I failed these exams. What happened? So I went and worked full time a year in a very well-known Glasgow restaurant called Regano, which was good fun. Very well renowned, being one of the best restaurants in Glasgow, and it was really good fun. There was a lot of young people working there. But on a more serious note, I'd done 2 crash hires at night school, so I had money coming in. I saw the best of both worlds. I had money coming in, I had some good fun while I'd done it, but it was hard work, because 2 nights a week, that was me finishing work and going for 3 or 4 hours to night school and having to do essays and stuff on the side. So your crash hires are more intense. It's not a subject you've studied before, and it's pretty hard work in amongst your work as well. So it has to be something that you really want to do, I think, to achieve that. So I got them in the end throughout that year, and it was a pretty valuable lesson. But I think mainly, don't give up, and it's okay if you fail initially. It'll just take you down another path. So when it came to what do you do, what do you study, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And looking back now, so here's me in the world of HR in a senior role, which I never thought I would end up in. I started off actually at college, and it was called Queen's College in Glasgow, or it was known as the Old Doe School. It had a great reputation. But when I finished that, it became Caledonian Uni. So we were the first year to graduate from university. So I didn't go into uni, I went into college. And the course that I'd done, or which became a degree, was hotel and catering management. And I can't cook. And, I never wanted to work in a hotel. So for me, you think, well, that's a really strange path, isn't it? And really, even more strangely, we covered HR. Human resources, we covered it in our third year, and the whole class hated it, and we all failed our essays. And every one of us said we will never work in HR. We ruled it out. It was not a career path we were going to go down. Why would anyone in their right mind want to do it? It was boring. It was theoretical. We just didn't get it. I suppose a lot is down to your lecturers or your teachers or your mentors. We just did not get it. So passed my degree, got that from Caledonian Uni, and then still didn't know what I wanted to do, because it certainly wasn't working in hotels. Our third year of our course was a year out. So that was another year at work experience. I worked at IBM for a year. And it was so long ago, because I'm so very old, that it was the most coveted year out that everyone wanted. And the reason everyone wanted it was IBM was a good name. But, it's probably, I would have to put it on par with money just now. But at the time, it was paying the best money for the year. And that money was £7,000, which probably in today's, if you put that in today's money, if someone was going to do a placement for a year, you're probably looking maybe at kind of £24,000. That would what it be equate to. So it was a lot of money at the time. So I remember a whole load of us wanted this IBM placement, and I was delighted I got it. So I got my work experience as I went along while I was studying, which again, is a really good thing for young people to do, whether it's a Saturday job, a paper round, a cafe, just get work experience because you're working with people. So after uni, what to do? I ended up working in sales, and I worked in sales for about 5 years in different types of sales, and eventually I ended up in recruitment sales. I was one of the youngest branch managers for a very well-known recruitment company, a UK one, just because I was good in sales. And one day I had a bit of a kind of revelation. So I went out to meet an HR manager, and I remember sitting across the table thinking, wow, you've got a nice office, love your family photo, you're not under any pressure to hit sales targets, you're interested in your people. I was like a little bit of what you've got. So I went away and kind of thought about that and decided to, just while I was working again, I'd done a postgrad at university in HR management. So I got some further education and had that kind of bit of paper to say, hey, I can do it in theory. And then I went to another meeting one day and hit it off with the client, who was a senior HR person. He was looking for someone, and I kind of got back from that meeting and phoned him. I said, well, I think that person's me. He said, I think you're right. So that was me. Started off one of my first jobs in HR. And it was a bit of luck, right? It was a bit of luck. It was being, I suppose, if you like, a little bit forward to say, well, I like you, you like me. I don't have all the skills you're looking for, but I think I can develop them. And because we hit it off, he's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to take a chance on you. So it's the first person that really took a chance on me, which I'm really very grateful for. And that started me off on my path to HR.
But that, I mean, it's a, as you say, like a squiggly route to getting there, almost like a roundabout route, with some irony that you had been through HR and you just learned about it, but not
I know.
But the thing, the message that's really important to draw out is that a lot of the time, you have to just kind of go with the flow and try different things out and see what happens before you end up kind of having almost in a moment, like, in one meeting or one chance encounter, you find the right organization or the right person to champion you, or something happens that shifts your perspective. And then that's what leads you onto a career that you excel in. Because I think a lot of the time there's this pressure to feel super deliberate about what it is that you're going to do, and you kind of pursue, you know all the steps from the beginning, and then you just tick them off as you go. And I just feel like in any career that's very rare that actually happens, and I feel like your experience is exactly that, and it starts from the point where you didn't even, academically you had to kind of, but as you say, like pull your socks up and go to night school, which is something that I don't know if many people would kind of even consider or think of these days, to pick up hires or to pick up extra qualifications. So, really thank you so much for sharing. I suppose that the main thing I'd love to kind of get from all of that, though, is what in you do you think, in terms of attitude or drive, like made the difference, and where did that come from?
I think I was very lucky, and I know everyone's home situation is very different. Some people will live with a grandparent, some people, will live with a carer, some people might live with a parent. So I was very lucky to have both parents from a young age, and they were very, very supportive. I think their drive was not necessarily they want you to go to uni. They never said that to me, but what they did say from a very young age was anything's possible, and they instilled that in me. And I think their belief in me, then I had a belief in myself. So when I didn't pass my exams and they didn't freak out about it, they were, very pragmatic and what do you want to do? And, they kind of said to me, you go and look into what the solutions are. They didn't handhold me all the way through it. So I think because they didn't freak out and I didn't anyone shouting in the background, you failed your exams, what's going to happen next? That was really helpful. And I know not everyone has that. I do call it a luxury because I know now it's perhaps a rarity that people are in such a stable environment or with both parents. And maybe it is a rarity to have that support. But I think for young people that might not have it, there'll be someone there. You might have a favourite teacher or an auntie or a grandparent or a friend's mum or dad. There'll be someone there that will be looking out for you, that will be probably a good person to kind of pick their brains or ask them things, or to be your cheerleader, if you want to call it that. I think having support when things don't necessarily go the way you expected is really, really useful.
Yeah, 100%. And that's some really good kind of practical advice. Not everyone has that person, but you can go out there and find that person. And for those young people who are like, how do I go out about doing that? If there's no one in my immediate family or like school or college or uni or relatives or friends, if I wanted to find someone external to that, what would you recommend in terms of how to go about that?
So maybe I would say to a young person, is there anything that they do, kind of activities out with school? If there's no one in school, I don't know, who do a boxing club or taekwondo or, the library or anywhere else. Is there anyone that you just look at as being a good person who drives them? Is it someone that runs a local boxing club? Is it someone that runs, whatever else it might be, some activity out with school that they might have went to, or something related to music or anywhere else? Is there just anyone that they've crossed paths with that they think, I wonder if they might be able to help me, or could they spare half an hour just have a chat about what I'm thinking, or just to help me kind of set a kind of clearer direction in my mind? Or, sometimes there'll be a favourite teacher who will take time as well, just to spend half an hour with that person, just to say, right, you can tell if a teacher recognises something in you. And sometimes teachers do inspire other people. They're very busy, I get that, but quite often people will have a favourite teacher as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like look at the resources around you essentially and look at what you're involved in. Well, Judy, it was so great to speak. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. And so glad that you did end up working in the career that you're working in, despite swearing you never would. I think it will make a big difference for some members of our community. So
I do, and I think just don't give up. Just don't worry if you fail initially. Just don't give up, because anything is possible. And I think that's the main message out of it, isn't it?